Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of On the DELO. This is episode 153, and excited to be here today. This morning, this is my morning time. Usually I'm filming these in the afternoon, and I don't know why. I'm like, you know what? I just need to book some time in the morning when I have full energy, just got done working out. Today, I got up at 3. Little shift in my schedule and my habits. I went to bed at like 7. My wife and I go to the bed at the same time. Thank goodness. We're just tired, and I get so much compacted into a shorter day, I guess. But now the days are getting longer. So what's really ironic is like the sunlight is staying out longer and it's appearing earlier. So I got to start adjusting my time schedule to where I go back to bed at 8 at least. And what's really even more funny is during the summertime, it's still light out at 8 and I still go to bed. I have to darken the room. So 8 to 4, that's usually my protocol. But today it's 3, and this morning we are filming this, which will come out on Monday. Today is Thursday, all that good stuff. So I am titling this podcast, Selling Stuff That Nobody Really Wants to Buy, okay? And obviously this is it's a little bit hits home because I sell insurance. And there haven't been many people that really want to buy insurance. They know that they have to buy it. In some cases. So, with what I insure, say if you own a home and you have a mortgage on it, the mortgage, the bank is going to make sure that their interest is, protected. So in order to do that, either you're going to have to go get an insurance policy with somebody, or they're just going to place it on you. And generally, it's about 3 times as much as what you could go get on your own. The point being is that a lot of people don't think about, oh, my home's fine, nothing's ever going to happen, And then when they have to go pay like $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 for a home policy, they're like, this sucks. And I get it and I understand it because I go through the same thing. I have property, I have businesses, I have all sorts of stuff that I buy insurance for. And I do have those moments of lapse where, even being in the industry, where I'm just like, well, I'm not a risk. Well, this isn't something that could, be detrimental to me, whether I have it or not. But I do know that it is, for me, the right thing to do, not just because I sell it and I'm an advocate for it for when something does go wrong, but it just gives you that peace of mind. So, being real here, again, nobody wakes up excited to go buy insurance. It's not the first thing on their list. It's one of those things on their list that they begrudgingly tend to get to. So, actually, the same, Jeremy, Scott, and I talk about this. We talk about it. We have a mastermind, Built Different Mastermind, and we talk about a lot of different things in the business realm. And Jeremy owns a gym. And if you think about it, now some people do get jazzed about, buying a gym membership. They're pretty excited. But again, you think about it, they're buying gym membership, they're buying classes, they're buying these things that, cool, there's direction in it, but you still got to go do the work, and you got to go do physical work, and you got to do work a lot of times that people begrudgingly don't want to go do. They're like, I gotta go work out. I gotta sweat. It hurts so bad. And they're very sore afterwards, and then they don't want to eat right. And so it's like all the other ancillary things that also come with that gym membership that they should be doing if they want to get to a certain health status within, their own physical body. But a lot of times people just don't want to do that either. So when it's something that you're selling that people don't necessarily desire, how do we break those barriers? How do we break those walls? For me, it's always been about personal touch. I didn't dream that I would be working for Van Halen, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Madonna. I didn't dream I'd be working for artists like that, having fun, working in the record industry, promoting records, driving around, having steak dinners, probably drinking way too much back in the day. I never thought I would go from that to selling insurance. Now, in all fairness, my father, who very happily retired about 4 years ago to go work at a gym, go figure, he did insurance about 50 years. He worked upstairs in a department store called Sears, if you guys know about Sears. And he worked upstairs at Sears selling for Allstate Insurance. He was one of their top producers. Back then, homeowners policies were $300, $200. Auto policies every 6 months were probably $200. There were, you talk about inflation, you talk about the cost of goods, you talk about the values of things. Like if you look at a car nowadays, especially like a Tesla, where you get rear-ended and you got to get sensors and bumpers and all sorts of stuff replaced. It's not like it's a $50 fix. It's thousands of dollars. And so all of this stuff is attributable to obviously higher rates. And again, insurance companies, they're in the business to make money. They're not just here for our own free good. They're not here because, oh, hey, we're just nice people and we want to give you the lowest rate forever and then pay out all the claims. And always getting the conversations about, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I'm always getting, not always, but over my career, I've gotten a lot of the conversations about, well, I've never used it and I just keep paying this money into it. Yeah, it's a very valid argument and I get it, but that's not what originally the people that designed insurance companies designed it for. They didn't design it for you to use it, Now, of course, you're going to see commercials. Oh, we help you with claims and hurricanes. And there's a lot of good people within these companies that do want to help and they do want to pay out on stuff and they do want to bring you back to whole. And that's when they take your money and they take your money for 10 to 20 years and they invest it and they build it up. So God forbid you do have that claim, they should be there to pay it out and put you whole and make sure that you're good again. But if they don't, and you've been one of the lucky ones that never have a claim, then see it as charity because that money will at some time go somewhere else to help somebody that is going to need it. So side tangent, again, comes back for me to personal touch. So when I decided to get into insurance, I did sell some of the mundane stuff, the renter's policies, the auto, stuff like that. I was like, it was a good learning experience and a good knowledge base to have, but I just wasn't into it. It wasn't me. I'm rock and roll. I'm the guy that wears the t-shirts and the logo, and I'm the non-traditional insurance agent that the traditional insurance agents, think is unprofessional, and that's fine. It's just, we're all different. That's another podcast, right? But when I found my first restaurateur and I connected with him, it was like, cool. I don't feel like I'm selling anything. I feel like I'm developing a relationship, a personal relationship with somebody that's fun. And at the time, I'm younger and I'm like, dude, I like to have fun. Let's have some fun together. So we developed these relationships and I provided a product/service that he had to have. You have to have it. You got to buy this stuff from somebody. Now, there are a lot of different products out there that people have to buy. Your air conditioning breaks. You got to buy air conditioning, especially in Arizona, right? You got to buy it from somebody. And most of the prices on a lot of those things, now there's a whole gamut of high, low. It all really depends. But if you look at the curve of what most of these prices are, they're somewhere in between. And what is cool about what I'm able to do as far as a restaurant specialist is I'm able to be a broker for multiple companies, even in our home and auto division and life insurance and all that sort of stuff. We are able to access a multiple companies. And my dad, when he had left Allstate for a bunch of reasons, he went and opened up his own broker and his own brokerage for insurance. And he loved that. He never turned back. And it was one of those things that I'd always learned, that we want to be able to give people options to be able to buy stuff. So they're buying the relationship. They're buying the personal touch that I'm able to give them and that I enjoy. And again, that's why I do this podcast. That's why I post on social media. I like to stay relevant. I like to keep relevance. I like to be able to bring my personality and my passion for life and my ability to care and be empathetic of people's needs. Because when shit does hit the fan, that's when people need you the most. And that's when you can't back up or hide for stuff. And I have been through conversations, situations, very scary situations for people that have died, people that have gotten beat up, people that may have lost their business, just a lot of stuff down the rabbit hole of many experiences in my 25 years. And I am proud, excited, and very, let's just say, I've benefited from every single one of those situations, conversations, or resolutions, right? So you want to make your product or service, whatever that is. Again, I relate to insurance. You might relate to janitorial. You might relate to being an attorney. You might relate to even being a bank, right? Everybody needs a bank. I mean, we got to put our money somewhere unless you're digging it in the backyard. And if you are, you can comment and just leave me your address. No, I'm kidding. But the thing is that you want to make it feel essential to their household, to their emotion, to their feeling, and not be transactional, right? I've never been a transactional person. Yes, I do a transaction, but I always want there to be a personality and a human and somebody that cares at the beginning, the middle, and the end of that. And I advocate that with my staff as well. A little more coffee. So it's very important for me to make sure that my staff is on the same page. We have this advocacy of empathy and caring and explanation, because most people, they don't even know what they're buying. They know the tagline insurance, right? They know the tagline gym membership. They know the tagline, let's just say, business consultant, right? But at the end of the day, what are you really getting? What are you assuming that you're getting? And so I think education and creating a standard that is one that gets talked about with many people creates referrals. It recreates a want and a need for others to want to do business with you. So now, in my case, insurance, the tagline, it doesn't really become a bad word when those people are calling you because of my time and years in business and the way that I get set up when I get a lot of these referrals. It's like, now you got to call this guy. They already know that they have to buy it. They've already had their past experiences. You're at this point just helping to solve a problem. And again, when you're selling, quote unquote, the unsexy stuff, what problem are you solving for the person on the other end of the phone, right? Or the person on the other end of the coffee cup? There's always a resolution to every problem. Now, you may not have that resolution, and maybe not every client or every relationship is for you. And that's again, another podcast of knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, right? And that's a big thing as well. So I've always had the mindset of not pushing people into something, just guiding them, letting them know, educating them, giving them the resources to understand that, hey, you may want to buy this portion of the policy because your policy has what's called a weapons exclusion. Now, in the bar and nightclub scene, if somebody were to get shot and you were to have a weapons exclusion, that would not be covered. So as an educator and as somebody that sees different policies, different policy forms, exclusions, all of those things, wouldn't it be educational, professional, worthy of me to bring up situations, experiences, and possible holes in things that people may have currently or may get on a quote? Absolutely. And that's the part that I feel the most value and the most excited about, helping people to let them know what's happened, what's the potential of happening, because I've seen it, and what they could be leaving on the table and what they could be purchasing to let them sleep at night, or what they could be leaving on the table again to be like, cool, I'll take that risk myself. So it's never about fear-mongering though, but it is about a very open-minded and a very authentic conversation about reality. And the reality is we live in a very crazy ass world and crazy ass things happen. And if you are a purchaser of insurance and you're running a business that you don't want to, let's just say, pay out of pocket yourself if something happens, then these items are very important. A lot of times you have what's called the reluctant buyer, and they're just not going to see a lot of times they're just not going to see the instant benefit. Now, some people may buy it and be like, okay, deep breath. I know I'm covered if something happens if I walk out and a train hits me. Those are few and far between. It's usually a reluctant buyer that's just like, oh, I got to get this. Is this the best you can do? Is this price? Yes, it is. And what's great about being in my career now is I know in my heart of heart of all things and the repetition, again, it's like working out. It's like doing the reps. When you go and you quote and you train your people and you look at all the markets and you have the conversations over and over, week by week, and you're on top of your game, it's repetition. And you're in really good shape to be able to provide what it is to what the other person on the other side is asking for. Then there's no questions asked on your part. Either they buy it or they don't. And if they're reluctant due to price or due to other things, that's when I'm able to let go and say, cool, did the best job I could. Now, I don't get rewarded and I don't get paid for practicing. But what I do get rewarded in the art of practice is being better at my craft, so that when I do win a new client, and I do retain a client, or I'm able to give extra value and education to those within my stratosphere, that is the value that I get from doing what I do every day over and over again and discovering new things that happen. So a lot of times, I'll use the car salesman theory, right? We all think about going to go buy a car, and it's right up there with being an insurance agent, right? We go in, and there's a lot of great dealerships. Like, I love my dealership. It's funny. I'm buying a new Toyota 4Runner here, and I love texting my car salesman. Actually, I'm excited to talk to him, right? This Toyota dealership's amazing. John Stanley that runs this place he runs it differently, right? He runs it in a way where it's a relationship-based thing. Look, we all need a car, okay? We all got to drive. I got to get from A to B, and I got to go on appointments. I got to see people. So I might as well buy something that I like from somebody that I like, right? And from the first I think I've bought 7 cars from John, my kids' cars, my wife's car, all that. And from the first experience, from when I walked in, there was no pushiness. There was no manipulative tactics. There was no taking your keys and, making you stay there until you sign. None of that. It was like, look, here's the car, here's the price. Either you want it or you don't. And I love that. I love that sort of thing, because to me, it showed confidence, and it showed the ability to say, I'm giving you the best that I got here right now. And I know that he is, because I have done my research. I've done my homework. I've looked otherwhere. And even if it's 5 or 10% more than what I could go do and go through the hassle of maybe not getting the service of the relationship I had somewhere else, I'm in a good position as a career person to be able to do that, because I want convenience. I want relationship. I want somebody that I know is going to treat my friends and family the same way that they treated me. And that, to me, is a huge benefit when you have those people that you are in your life. So again, it's not that people, going back to insurance, it's not that people, don't want insurance or the security, the protection. They just don't want to pay for it, right? Until they need it. And then it's too late. So I can't even tell you how many times I've had people skip on certain coverages, or I've had phone calls where people in general are like, well, not a lot, but some people like liquor liability is a big one out here. Liquor is the biggest claim that we have. It's usually a death. It's not a good situation. And I've had people that own their own buildings that don't have to have liquor, right? Because they don't have a lease, and there's no law in the state of Arizona that states that you have to have liquor coverage, which is absolutely absurdly crazy to me due to the high volatility of what could happen with a claim. But again, that's selfishly me, being in the business of seeing what I've seen. So I've had some places call me and they're like, hey, we want a quote without liquor. And I won't sell it. I'm just like, look, I'm just not the broker for you. Because when something happens, then it always comes back to, well, why wasn't this provided? And people's memories, they're really short, especially when they have their backs against the wall and, something like that happens. Not a lot of people, but there are people out there. So if you look at selling insurance, it's like selling a parachute. No one wants to buy it while the plane is cruising at 30,000 feet, right? But the second the engine blows, they'll like, I don't care what the price is. Give me the damn parachute. I'll pay for it. Put it on Visa because you want to get the hell out of that plane, right? And that's just an analogy that if you look at it, it's pretty scary because a lot of times when claims arise or when they happen, it's like the engine blowing. You don't know that it's going to happen. Now, there could be certain things that go on within a business that when they're not run very well, and that's why we have things called underwriting, and that's the same with banks. That's the same with mortgage brokers. That's why they do all this underwriting. They want to see if you're a good risk. They want to see if you're a good citizen and you do the things and you have good credit and you've paid your bills. Why would a bank go give a loan to somebody that's bankrupt, right? Because obviously they're not just going to hand over money to somebody that's just going to go take it. And it's the same with insurance. Nobody wants to insure a place that's dilapidated, falling apart, never clean their hoods, don't do any training for people that are serving liquor, their biggest exposure. But I'll tell you what, man, the minute something goes wrong, they want that coverage. They want to know. And most people want to know what's covered after something happens, as opposed to understanding in the very beginning of what, is or is not covered. And as much as we try to do the best job as possible, there's always things that are odd that come up. Perfect example is air conditioning units. Most of the time, air conditioning units are not going to be covered on your insurance. And the reason why is because most of the time, you may not be responsible. It might be the landlord. But if you are responsible per your lease, okay, and the thing is a maintenance issue, it just breaks down because you haven't serviced it and it's like, 25 years old. That's not what this insurance is for. It might be a warranty, right? Which might be a different issue. But in Arizona, man, that's a bear when you have $20,000 worth of air conditioning units that you got to get replaced and you call your insurance company thinking it's covered and it's not. Maintenance of equipment is not covered. That's not what insurance is for. Most of the time, sudden and accidental discharges or events that cause it to break, blow up, however it may be. And then a whole ancillary thing, a bit of services after that. So it's really just about people understanding that, yep, got to pay the money for it. And for these situations, it's here if I need it. So when I'm quote unquote not selling, I'm shifting the mindset that I'm just protecting people. My whole theme is I'm a protector and connector, right? And I want to give value and I want to educate. When people understand that they're buying something that is there for distinct situations that are very much part of what could happen to them. And again, it comes down to storytelling in a way that they can understand and relate. That's the thing. They got to relate because you don't want to confuse people. Confusion will just kill them. You can oversell people on stuff that they just don't even know. I've had very technical people come in and some people really love the technical aspects of stuff, but you got to know who you're talking to. I was talking about this we're going to talk this weekend or tomorrow with our mastermind group about understanding the dynamics of people's personalities and how they take in information. And we've all heard of the disc, and all those sorts of things, but it's a good way of understanding who you're talking to. And again, you're being a solution to a problem, okay? And you're sharing stories that are relatable to those people that you're talking to and what you're doing. So always asking the right coverages. Always asking the right questions, always understanding what coverages would be pertinent to their businesses. Again, whatever business that you're working in, right? Whatever unsexy stuff that you're selling, the way to make it sexy is to storytell and to create a need and a want and a basis for them to look at it and say, wow, I really need this. Wow, this is cool. And attaching that to your persona and to your authenticity so that they know that not only are they just getting a piece of paper, right? They're getting something that's attached to you as a human being so that if and when they have those questions, which they will, okay, they have somebody that they can rely on and be a part of. So a lot of times I'll get objections, I don't have the budget. I'll think about it. You've heard the thing, you'll spend $5 a day on coffee, but you'll hesitate on $5 a day on a peace of mind, right? There's all sorts of different protocols that people use and that they do. And it just relates back to who are you talking to and what is going to make them feel better. And price is always going to be a thing. People are so sensitive, especially nowadays, and especially with the higher cost. I mean, insurance is, look, with all the natural disasters, the lawsuits, the regulatory means of different governments, putting things in place. I'm not saying that insurance companies, by all means, are God's gift to business. No, there's a lot of scumbags in my field and a lot of people that aren't doing the right thing. And that's just true with everything. It's a law of averages, right? Again, I don't see myself as somebody that is advocating for an industry. I see somebody that is advocating for a service that is needed and that is relevant into our lifestyle here, okay, to run a business or to have protection for our personal needs. And that's what's really the most important thing there is like being able to make sure that people understand that, yeah, costs are going up. There's a cost for this, but there's also a cost for not having it. And I've had, my dad and I have talked a lot about claims that have happened. We've had many of cases where car accidents, people that had umbrellas and they got hit by somebody that had no insurance. I mean, think about this. You're just driving to the grocery store and somebody hits you. You get 3 people in your car, right? And the person that hit you either doesn't have insurance or they have state minimum limits. I think the state minimum limits now are $25,000 of medical bills per person, okay? And $50,000 max payout. You got 3 people in your car, let's just say including you, and you're all hurt really bad and your car is damaged. Do you really think a $50,000 medical bill is going to get all of you in and out of the hospital? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So it then reverts over to your car insurance. How much coverage do you have? Do you have 2550 or do you have 100, 300 or 250, 500 plus an umbrella? And what did that umbrella cost you for the year or over the time period? Maybe it cost you, $1,800 a year. Multiply that times 5 years. Okay. You're at, 10 grand, something like that. Right. But you've got over $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 in medical bills for everybody in the car. Guess what? That umbrella, that $10,000 just help pay for all of that. And these are the things that a lot of times, if you're not educated, you don't even know that it exists or that could happen. So just a lot of things to think about. Selling the unsexy stuff isn't about tricking people into buying it. It's about making sure that they don't regret not buying it. Let me repeat that. Selling the unsexy stuff isn't about tricking people into buying. It's about making sure they don't regret buying. So whatever you're selling, you just want to make sure that people are seeing the bigger picture and that you never feel like you're pushing a product. Again, you're giving them a relationship. You're giving them a trusted advisor in whatever it is that you're doing. You're taking pride in what you do. I really do take pride in what I do now. 25 years later, being an insurance person, you know what? I'm a connector and I'm a protector. Again, that's what I do. And I'm excited to do it because I know so much about it at this point through, fire and Forge, right? And it's good for me. So I hope that this gives you a little bit of perspective on maybe having, if you're we're all purchasers of these products. And again, I buy from people that I like. I'm sure most of you listening do. If you get yourself in a situation where you feel that maybe that person isn't resonating with you, maybe the response time isn't, maybe the action time or the tone time or any of that, then probably time to find a new provider or a new way of finding some sort of, let's just say, comfortability within your own system of purchasing things that you don't really want to buy, right? So have some fun with it. Go find those people that are, that if that's your thing, that are fun, or go find those people that are dry, right to the point. Again, we're all different personalities looking for the personality and for the service and the product that fits us. Find a specialist. That's my biggest thing. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a specialist in my niche and the things that I do. But again, I like to deal with people that understand the funnel or the barrel of within what they work, the stratosphere of what they work in, because they do it day in and day out, right? So it's a lot of fun. If this episode has hit home with you, please share it with another business owner or a sales pro that needs to hear it. Again, we have our Build Different Mastermind, doing that with Jeremy Scott. I will put the link here. It is a free community for you to be a part of so that you can hear stuff like this. We've got free courses. We do have courses for sale. We do have a weekly mastermind call that is for purchase, that we've got some great, let's just say, business builders in there. And again, you're not obligated to do any of it. You can do all of it. You can do some of it. But to be a part of that community and just have that back and forth with other people, such as myself and Jeremy, it's a lot of fun. If you're in the restaurant industry and you want to make sure you're covered before disaster strikes, visit barandrestaurantinsurance.com, all spelled out, and let's talk. So until next time, I really appreciate you all listening. I'm having fun doing these solo podcasts now, getting them out, doing our thing, and I got so much to really talk about, which is a lot of fun. I hope I've given you some value. Don't forget, I've got Reignite Your Spark, which I put together last year. Picture of me without my shirt on. Yay, everybody wants to see that. But it's a very short read, and it's about everything from actionable strategies to challenges to conscious eating to the therapeutic nature of journaling to all sorts of stuff that I think could resonate with you in whole or in part. But it's a one of those fun reads, and I'm happy to mail you a copy if you're interested. Just comment. I will send you a copy of the book. If you want to buy it, no problem. It's on Amazon. I'm just here to give back as much as I can while I'm here. And at 51 and a gray beard now, I'm having a lot of fun. So until next time, thank you, and we will talk to you soon. Peace out.